Hello YouTube and welcome back to the zone where my headphones are not even connected up to anything. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to do another Chris Chan saga here today, and this one is discussing Asperchu, combining some of the most hated things that Chris ever has about a person. If they have Asperger's, then he is absolutely going to despise them. So, as far as I'm concerned, Chris had everything coming to him. If he didn't before, he certainly did now, because hearing him talk about the way he despises people with Asperger's is not a particularly comfortable thing to hear, but considering what I think, what's going to happen, because again, I'm going into this almost completely blind. There's only like very certain things I do know about Asperchu, but let's just see when we get started. This article discusses the award-winning comic series Asperchu and its relationship with Chris. For information about Asperchu itself, please see Asperchu/background. Asperchu is a multiple award-winning comic series created by Alec Benson Leary of Eden Prairie, Minnesota. His deft artwork, gripping stories, and excellent characterization has resulted in the series gaining hundreds of fans in the few short months since its inception. Many of these fans were disconnected followers of the Sonichu comics, who were turned off by the comics becoming exponentially more disturbing. Well, it was only a matter of time, and that's just akin to how bad Chris got that people were willing to take a parody of a parody over Chris. Similarities to Chris. The first drawing Alex sent to Chris. "Oh, Sonichu, can you forgive me for offending you and your father? You know you mean the world to me. For all the love and support you have shown me in my creation, I shall ever forever cherish your love and kindness, and take your caring hands in friendship." "Oh, Asperchu, of course I forgive you. Let's hold hands and stroll down the beach. Perhaps we'll each find us sweethearts to love and cherish as we each do of it now." This is playing into Chris's hatred of homosexuals, so there's no way he would have turned kindly to this. Or this. Actually, tell you what, let's just vote Sonichu for DA. Vote Sonichu for District Attorney. Candidate Sonichu has a strong 3-point platform. See these testimonies. Thank you, Sonichu. I can finally display my Asperger's proudly as an autism disorder. Sonichu fought for our right to reconcile as two legally married men, all thanks to the Quickville marriage courts. Sonichu gave us a new hope of revolution of open-mindedness. Now Quickville is the place to go for progressively open arms. Yeah, but a little bit too. No, I don't think this was about as open. I don't think this was open enough, if you ask me. Defender of gay rights, recognition of Asperger's as an autism spectrum disorder, defeater of closed-minded of all subjects. You know, it's really the great irony about all this is that if Chris actually had written all these things, he might have actually gained a little bit of support if he was a defender of gay marriage and he was, racially sensitive and, tolerant of other races. Also, if he was at all tolerant towards, having Asperger's be seen as a true medical diagnosis that I've discussed, because some of the things Chris has said about autism are so backward that there's almost no way to put it adequately, like some of the things Chris has ever said. Unfortunately, because of we know what the real Chris would do, there's absolutely no way he would have been a supporter of any of these things. While Alec has stated that Asperchu is not a parody of Chris, there are many similarities between the two. Both of them are overweight, bespeculated striped shirt-wearing, naive individuals who find themselves somewhat out of place in the world. They both address the masses through YouTube videos, and both are preoccupied with finding a boyfriend-free girl to make into a sweetheart. These similarities between the two characters has resulted in no shortage of rage from Chris. He seems to feel that the only reason Asperchu exists is to poke fun at him. I mean, it's part of the reason, but not all of it. He also takes serious offense at the idea of a Sonichu who suffers from Asperger's for some reason. Chris on Asperchu. Die, you son of a bitch, Alec. Die. Which just about shows everything, doesn't it? It's no secret that Chris hates Asperger's syndrome, and presumably everybody that suffers from it. Due to some illusory sense of competition between Asperger's and other disorders on the autism spectrum, the knowledge that someone had created a series about an electric hedgehog Pokemon who suffered from the affliction did not sit well with him. He became even angrier when the creator of the series himself started sending him emails. The first recorded communication we have between Alec and Chris implies that Alec had been in contact with him multiple times outside of the public view, and that Chris had responded to these communications negatively. Chris didn't respond any better on his public mailbag, claiming that Alec was jealous of him, and inexplicably alleging that the included fan art of Asperchu and Sonichu implied homosexuality. Upset that Chris would jump to such conclusions, Alec sent him another letter, depicting Sonichu and Asperchu having good, masculine, straight fun. This letter was even more poorly received. Undaunted, Alec continued sending letters to Chris's mailbag, thinking that perhaps the man he respected so much really just misunderstood him. A few of these letters were ignored, some were coldly dismissed, but Chris's most notable responses were explosive outbursts of anger and hatred. Eventually, Chris began refusing to respond to Alec's correspondence or deleting his messages outright. In Asperchu issue C, Chris made an appearance asking for help from the characters to save Asperchu. Later, he and C-chan Sonichu CWC met up with each other, leading to a standoff where Chris tried to shoot him. How bold of Chris. Chris responded to the comic, mentioning that he was set on fire in the comic. He didn't seem to notice that he also called by the name Ian Brandon Anderson, nor did he notice the appearance of Liquid Chris. When the Asperchu saga started to take off, Chris's schedule for his own comic had dropped drastically. Beyond this, Chris made clear that he also hates the comic because of its uncensored pictures. Because we know Chris is such a stickler for, censoring certain things that should have been censored in his own works. And low resolution and blocky art. If there's nobody that should start to be criticizing other people's artwork, it's Chris. No one... Chris is not in a position, or is he liable whatsoever, to say those sort of things. Here we see Chris's hypocrisy in action. The uncensored pictures he's all up in arms over are just minor posters hung up mostly in Asperger's room, and even so, they are mostly hidden away by the characters' heads. Chris's uncensored pictures are done by the main characters in full view, despite the fact that Sonichu is supposed to be a kid's comic. Chris probably took the terms blocky and low resolution from the Family Guy episode Road to the Multiverse. Of course, compared to Chris's art, it's the fucking Mona Lisa. It also helps that Alec is humble and doesn't try to act like his artwork is amazing and worthy of being hung in a museum, which we know Chris always does. The Asperdicia. After finishing his first 3 issues of the comic, Alec Benson Leary set up his own Media Wiki website where one could read all existing comics, as well as a number of articles about the world of Asperchu, and read fan mail answered by Mr. Leary. Soon afterward, portals were added to the site for other notable comics, such as Evan's Simonchu and Sonichu is Dead creator Sean August Watley's latest project, Moon Pals, in February of 2010. More comics were added, including Alex's Sonichu Revolution, Sean's Sonichu is Dead and Sonichu is Gay, and Isabel Monday's Carpering Berries. Jack Fadios, recognizing the incredible profit potential of Asperchu, immediately began advertising the new website on the Wikipedia. Chris responded to these ads and his newfound knowledge of Alex's website with a series of increasingly disturbing videos where he made his opinions on the matter quite clear. See, clearly, Asperchu is pure evil, despite the fact that he made something to help people for the victims of the Haiti earthquake in February of... No, it was in January when that happened. I remember when that happened as well. Just over 10 years ago now. Alec, being a gentle soul, has not directly responded to any of Chris's offensive videos. When asked by a concerned fan, he outlined his planned course of action as one of peace, citing his personal hero, Mahatma Gandhi. His webmaster, Mayo Bamboo Ling, has opted for a more direct approach, speaking to Chris directly in 2 short YouTube videos. The large banner ad for Asperchu was replaced by a link to information on the US government's efforts to help the victims of the earthquake in Haiti, because Alec cares about the plight of his fellow men. I wouldn't say necessarily in that instance Chris didn't care, but maybe again, that's just something he could have done. All of these things that Alec has technically done should have been a reflection of what Chris could have done and what he should have done. But he's just focusing all his attention on shit that nobody cares about, like Asperchu maybe possibly being homosexual or not. And his, again, building off his hatred for people who have Asperger's. Due to the growing popularity of Asperchu over Asperchu, the site later set up a fan portal where aspiring writers can make their own Asperchu fanfictions. Various pre-existing titles, including Asperchu the animated series, are also hosted in the fan section. There is even a parody version of Wikipedia set up by Mayo, where totally fictitious articles on Asperchu related things are made, including Photoshop images of the original comic. Eventually, on May 27, 2010, just over 10 years ago from this date, Mayo took complete control of the Wikipedia, after which Alec and Vivian G started uploading Asperchu Season 2. The Wikipedia was then permanently deleted for Mayo to gain the upper hand, after noting to the Comic Fury staff that, without Asperchu and Chris to bargain for a lower price, they must be forced to sign with him. The rights to the Asperchu were then sold for $150,000. The Asperchu was eventually shut down. However, according to Alec Benson Leary, it was run by a spazzlord who took it down randomly in a fidgety fit one day. I didn't care to fight for it. No. Fair enough. The 19th of January demands. On the 19th of January 2010, Chris uploaded 12 new pages of Asperchu number 10, which are centered mostly around Asperchu and the Asperdicia. Ever the heroic savior, Chris pictures himself along with Ultra Asperchu destroying the slanderous Asperdicia and saving Alec's characters from their terrible affliction. What affliction it's meant to be, you'll have to again guess for yourself. With Asperchu himself getting an extreme electric makeover and becoming Mitch Asperchu. Okay, not content with this, Chris then issued an ultimatum to Alec through a blog post. Although within Alec's hands, Asperchu is a horrific joke, not only because of the uncensored nudity, wrongful character usage and all that, but also because the whole thing is drawn by a cocky, blocky, low resolution way. I still will have no association with Alec Benson Leary or his Asperchu character whatsoever, but I will forgive Alec for his error if he follows from my new plot an extreme electric makeover as a template. He is no longer Asperchu, just call him Mitch Asperchu. Alec didn't listen to Chris's demands, nor would anyone for that matter, instead keeping everyone there and just introducing Mitch Asperchu as simply Mitchchu, who appears to be a gay stylist, as well as Wisp Asperchu as the character Wispy Asperchu, Punchy's slow in the mind cousin. Sorry guys, something's just occurred to me whilst we're reading through this. All of these things, all of these demands on that one day, and do you think Alec implied or very much cared at this point? Apologies. In a 1st of February 2010 video, Chris finally admitted that Asperchu was not a parody of himself or his original creation. Sonichu was instead a completely original character. None of those things are true. Well, original completely are definitely something. He also apologized for spreading lies about Alec, such as suggesting that he only responded to fan mail that puts him in a positive light, and for the constant death threats against him. Yeah, that's something you might have to apologize for. He also apologized for trying to commandeer Evan's Summonchu character, though he tactfully avoided mentioning his blatant ripoff, Simona. However, Chris's real motivations quickly became obvious as he proceeded to beg Alec and Evan to help him take down the Wikipedia ads, which had become increasingly homoerotic and insulting to Chris, because apparently Chris is just about the only human being in the world who would get offended by shit that, does not concern him. It's kind of like similar to anyone who's really got problems with homosexuality. If it doesn't have anything to do with them, so why are they getting themselves so involved about something that's not their business? A few days later, Chris made another video fully apologizing for his threats towards the four, deciding to give up Simona and delivering a half-assed forgiveness blessing to Mayo, in the hope of finally removing the ads, which also included a parody of She Came for CWC.jpg, involving him and his mum, and an obituary for Chris. On the 25th of February 2010, Chris released the last pages of Sonichu number 10, in which he did kill off Simona, but turned around and brutally executed the Asperchu 4. A revised version, inspired by Chris's sweetheart Jackie, replaced the death sentences with a lifetime placement among the Amish. Jackie insisted on a parade in honor of Alec and Asperchu, but Chris did not honor his promise. No. By 2017, Chris had become more amenable towards Sonichu fanfiction and parodies. Yeah, sure he does. He apologized to Alec in a Facebook post that October and offered that if Alec wouldn't print Asperchu through a self-publishing site, he would trade printed Sonichu in exchange. Not entirely sure if that's the best trade in the world, but at least he's, again, trying to maybe make amends for what he's done. Phone calls. Encourage the fans that were originally my fans to come back to me. Okay. On the 9th of February 2010, Mayo sent Evan and Sean a series of 7 phone conversations between Alec Benson Leary and Chris. While these conversations were meant to stay between the Asperchu staff, they were eventually leaked by Mayo for the world to hear. An 9th phone call between Chris and Alec followed on the 18th of February and the 25th of February, respectively. Trial and execution of the Asperchu staff. I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail about this by the time we get into we talk about Sonichu number 10, because that's the thing I wanted to really talk about. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. Chris in Sonichu number 10. Despite Alec attempting to help Chris out several times during the phone calls, Chris would involve Alec along with Mayo, Sean and Evan in the penultimate pages of Sonichu number 10. They are portrayed as stupid, murderous characters who are tried by Quickville's court for the murder of Simona Rosechew, as well as the theft and mockery of several citizens of Quickville. After a kangaroo court trial in Quickville's favour, of course, Alec and co. are sentenced to death. Alec specifically in a 10-button electric chair. He is electrocuted to death by various characters that were misrepresented in Asperchu. So, apparently, writing characters in a certain way, it makes you, condemns you to death. Including Sonichu, who states that he is not gay as he jointly ends Alex's life. Chris himself also joins in on the fun, and ironically also hypocritically states that Alec is a dumb dick lunatic, after which he helps fry him to a crisp, before proceeding to slowly twist Mayo's limbs backwards until they snap using telekinesis. followed shortly after by crushing his heart. Evan is horribly mutilated by Sandy Rosechew whilst chained to a wall, and Sean is used as target practice by Bill the Scientist, Kel, and Allison. Amidst this brutality, Chris sees fit to apologize for some of his own wrongdoings towards the Asperchu 4, as well as to his fans. In recent updates of Sonichu number 11, Chris made good on his promise to revive Simona. However, in the pages, it is revealed that she never died in the first place. That means that Chris set up the trial on a whim just so he'd have a convenient excuse to live out his murderous, revengeful fantasies. Top A, isn't it? Sonichu Revolution. When the Wikipedia was taken down during the Simonchu debacle, it appeared Chris was not going to budge and would possibly set up shop elsewhere. Considering Chris's laziness, how long that would take was anyone's guess. The possibility that no new comics would appear for days, weeks, or even months was likely, and this didn't take into account how often Chris's new digs would get hacked. Fortunately, Alec, being the nice guy that he is, decided Sonichu fans should not be deprived of the promised reboot. He took it upon himself to not only deliver fans new pages through Chris's site, but to also take care of the looming copyright issues that Chris had been unwilling to tackle, all while still uploading new Asperchu comics. Chris, of course, took this in entirely the wrong way, because he always does. In the 8th phone call, he accused Alec of stealing his work and attempting to impersonate him. Also, while he expressed offense at the violence of some of the Sonichu Revolution strips, he showed no signs of grasping the way Alex's comic mocks the unoriginally moral. He showed no signs of grasping the way Alex's comic mocks the unoriginality, moral hypocrisy, sexual degeneracy, and generally warped outlook of Chris's original Sonichu stories. Isn't that just the way? And just before we continue, we may as well do the Revolution Gallery. Let's see. Go out, Sonichu. Go out and zap to the extreme. I will, thank you, Father. Welcome to the exciting world of Sonichu, the electric hedgehog Pokemon. Now Sonichu had a big problem. His world was full of copyright infringement. He himself was a violation of multiple trademark properties. But suddenly Sonichu had a spark of something he never experienced: conscience. Sonichu devised a plan to rid his cartoon world of the professional threat that plunged it. I've got it! And so Sonichu pranced and frolicked to meet someone who would know all about trademark theft. His bestest joy boy, Mitch Chew. Mitch, my dearest joy boy, will you help me defeat the evils of copyright infringement? Of course, dearest. I'll do anything for you. Oh boy. Come on, come on. And so Sonichu and Mitch Chew skipped away hand in hand, discussing the vagaries of copyright infringement that infested their once bright world. So you see, I was actually created when the mayor discovered an unrelated comic. The mayor was jealous that this comic had more fans than his did, so rather than improve his own work, he attempted to dictate to that comics artist that he change his main character into me. While the mayor pretty much can't accept that his wholesome theft of an intellectual property just doesn't qualify as parody, can he? Nope, but even stronger, parody is only okay to him. When he does it, he thinks he is someone else parodying him. He flies into a veritable shit fit and threatens physical violence. Speaking of intellectual property theft, hey guys, my name's Simona. Excuse my bags here. You know, us women and our shopping are tee-hee-hee. Wow. Chris, Alright, now hold her good and steady. Sonichu, she's gonna spaz a lot. Like this? Perfect. That tickles. Youch! I think you got my sternum there. And they show him, like, literally cutting off half of Simone's boob. Shit. It's okay, guys. I know I'm an unholy abomination and need to be destroyed for the good of all Quickville. Besides, it's not like cartoons are real people or anything. Wow, that was tiring. Don't slow down yet, Sonichu. We've still got a lot of plagiarisms to clean up. Yay! We're gonna go about plagiarism, blah blah blah. So, Mitch, who's next? I was hoping you would ask Sonichu. Look, it's two Raichus mating. Did you know that Raichus are actually the intellectual property of Nintendo, and therefore their inclusion in this comic without permission is considered copyright infringement? Ooh! What's more, they're both males, which makes this completely homo-gay. Wait a minute, Mitch. The top one's tall is partly out of the panel, see? Only what's inside the panel counts, so its stubby tail must mean that one's a female. Haha, good one, Sonichu, but this isn't kindergarten. What kind of serious artist could keep his simple colorings inside the lines? I guess you're right, Mitch. It must be male after all. You want to do the honors? Sure. And just obliterates both of them. Another day's work. Don't get tired yet, Sonichu. This is just like beautifully ironic. Sigh. Hey there, little girl. You look sad. Is there anything I can do to help? Oh, I'm just sad because women are so oppressed in our society. We're not allowed to express our true selves. Say, would you like me to help fight for women's rights? Let me give you a lap dance, please. Let me $10. I'll make you feel young again, baby. Whoa, don't blow your wad yet, Sonichu. Zapina here is only 14 years old. She's not even in high school. She has no business disrespecting her own body to adult perverts under the guise of empowerment. You're right, Mitch. I certainly would never want to take advantage of an obviously deluded and misled child. Glad you agree. Just because she's hit puberty is no excuse. A young girl needs and deserves to grow up, get informed, and give herself to a man who she loves and respects her, when she decides she's ready. Too many women in our culture are taught that their bodies are the only valuable possession they have, most often by selfish men who see themselves as sex toys and care nothing for their feelings. It's a damn shame, a damned gardened shame. Here you go, sweetheart. Let's cover you up. Does that feel better? Thank you, sir. All my life I've been told I need to flash my body at men just to be worth anything. I'm so lonely. You'll get the counseling you need. You'll learn to respect yourself as a person and to listen to that anyone who doesn't respect you, you shouldn't give anyone back, I think. Remember, Sonichu, even in states where the age of consent is as low as 16, other problems could arise when sleeping with a child. You could be charged with aiding the delinquency of a minor, for example. Not to mention the risk of pregnancy or STDs. The emotional investment, sex, is always a serious matter. And if you aren't willing to put your partner's well-being and emotions ahead of your own, then you just plain aren't mature enough to have sex, no matter how old you are. True that, Sonichu. True that. Chris really should have paid attention to this one. Then you'll never be mature enough to have sex, regardless. Whoa, that is one big robot. You bet he is, Sonichu. Meet Sonchu. What's wrong, Sonchu? Ugh, don't you fucking look at me like that. Don't you, I can make you see I'm fucking abomination. That's what's wrong. I'm supposed to be an Autobot. Autobots are owned by Hasbro. I'm just fucking ripoff, for Christ's sake. I know it's hard to carry that sort of shame, Sonchu. What kind of fucking name is Sonchu anyway? Who named me that? Fucking name that emphasizes my condition. Being a plagiarized and all. Not a manly robot name or nothing. Well, I'm gonna kill myself now, and he blows himself apart. Do you see the bad things that can happen when an artist steals other people's creations, Sonichu? Do you see the pain and suffering caused when a company's copyrights aren't respected? All too well, Mitch. Oh boy, how much... We're only halfway into these panels. Oh my God, Jesus, what is that strange abomination? Take care, Sonichu, that this is Paddy-chan. She was once Chris's dog, but she died several years ago. Not content even to let the powers of life and death have greater strength than he, flagrantly violating his professed Christian beliefs, Chris used dark magic to resurrect his dog as an unholy zombie, forever doomed to stalk the lands separated from life and love. What's more, he didn't even do it because he loves me. He only ever intended to use me as a weapon. He psychs me on his enemies, forcing me to consume their souls. He controls me with his dark magic. I have no freedoms left on this earth. I'm in just so much pain and suffering. I just want to rest. But Chris won't let me. He uses me for his satanic ways. Please kill me. Please end my torment. Hey now, keep heart, Paddy-chan. Maybe you can help us. We need soul-destroying powers like yours to help us destroy all the plagiarized monstrous plague in this land. You really think I can help? Then it's settled. I'll use my horribly satanic abilities for something Chris never intended. Good. Now we're cooking with gas. Hey, Father, I didn't expect to see you here. Hey, Sonichu. Ah, Father, no! And just Chris's, just the state. Look at Chris's just head there. Just no change. It's okay, Sonichu. You see, as a real person, my death is actually just me acting. You have nothing to worry about. Woo, you had me worried there. Go ahead, try your satanic voodoo magic on me. Okay. Soul Steel. It was an accident. I missed. Sorry, Paddy-chan, but killing a real cartoon person, you are now guilty of homicide. Whoa, who knew? Yeah, because... Oh, poor Paddy-chan already. Hey, Father, how are you doing? You know, just cleaning my Swift wet jacket, it's pretty backbreaking. I think I'll kick back for a few hours with some Little Big Planet on my Xbox Portable. I'm so glad Microsoft finally got the rights. I'm tired of that lousy Sony and those crappy consoles. Boy, Father sure spends a lot of his time on video games, doesn't he? And he plays all of them regularly too. At over 600 games, I don't know how he manages to play them all, but at least he gets use out of them. So his thousands of dollars that he could otherwise spend on things he desperately needs to better his life and achieve adult goals. Hey, Father, are you sad that your zombie dog Paddy is in prison for accidentally murdering a real-life cartoon person? Of course not. I raised her with evil satanic powers. You know, as Satan worshippers, only resurrect dead animals for selfish purpose or sex. Hey, doesn't the Bible ban things like black magic? What's this old thing? Probably. I don't actually read it. I've got way too many video games to play. It says the homo gays are bad, though I pay attention to that part since it doesn't inconvenience my selfish, hypocritical desires. Remember, kids, the rules in the Bible are hard to follow, probably aren't worth following. The more you know. Yeah! Okay. There isn't too much left of this, I think. Hey, Father, since you brought it up, I was wondering, could you go over... I didn't know why I was trying to do the Sean Connery voice either. Could you bring up the Bible rules that are most important to follow? Oh, sure, Sonichu. I'd be happy to. 1. No premarital sex. Sex is reserved for marriage alone. 2. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Never tell lies about others. 3. When someone wrongs you, turn the other cheek. Don't seek vengeance. 4. Don't take the Lord's name in blasphemy. Don't say God damn it, or try to invoke God to damn or curse people. Hey, Sonichu. Paddy-chan, when did you get out of prison? I posted bail. My court date is next month. Tubular. You see, kids, you gotta have faith in God, our Jesus, and He shall provide. Knowledge is power. The power of Christ compels you. And God literally destroying both Chris and Paddy. Maybe putting Paddy finally to rest. Whoa, what are those things? Why, those are the Sonichu balls. the crystals, Sonichu. You see, long ago, a franchise called Sonic the Hedgehog made use of a group of sterile MacGuffins called Chaos Emeralds. Our father, who art in Quickville, realized that he couldn't just steal the emeralds outright, so he slapped a new name on them and called it Original. Hey there, they still look familiar though. Well, father was unable to come up with anything truly original. Understatement there. So he just took the concept of the emeralds, added the appearance of Pokeballs, and figured he could make money of it. Well, enough chit-chat, let's get to throwing these icons of avarice. You got it. Ew, this one is all hairy. I guess father forgot to wax that one. Alright, one more criminal act undone. Huzzah! Hey father, hard at work on the comic you love so much? Of course not. I still have to get 70 more trophies in Little Big Xbox. Don't get me wrong, I know that Sonichu is my one true ticket to fortune and all, but on the other hand, hard work is hard. I'd much rather just be lazy and claim that I'm working on it, while I really spend all my time playing video games and sleeping. And frankly, I'm tired of receiving all those mean and cruel questions from my fans. Why can't they just tell me how great I am, like I asked them to? Yawn. Wow, all that back-breaking video game playing is making me tired. Hey Sonichu, would you like to come with me and have a good snuggle nap with me? Sure, father. Boy, I'm just stiff with anticipation. I love you so much, my darling Sonichu. Tell me about the cottage we're going to have to see again by the sea again, father. I feel like that might be a Boku no Pico reference, but I could be wrong. Hey father, what are you doing with that axe? Oh, just committing wanton acts of violence, the usual, and he cut Sonichu in half. I know I've said many times I'm quite empathetic, how much I despise violence in media. However, since I consider myself to be perfect and messianic, I figure it's perfectly okay for me to show copious gratuitous violence and suffering with my own comics. Even while criticizing other comics for doing the same, even though I have claimed countless times that my comic is meant for kids. Well, this is good timing, Chris. You see, considering I'm a theft-induced abomination, I'm gonna need you to kill me too. No problem, Mitch. A true and honest hero's work to make the world a better place is never done. Chris possibly doing the only one logical thing he could have ever have done in his entire life. Wikipedia advertisements. Shortly after 110 megabytes returned from what may have been its billionth outage, a large Asperchu ad appeared at the top of every article, despite Sonichu shooting Chris in the calves. Sound familiar? While calling him a fat little son of a bitch. Chris claimed that he wouldn't let the ad get to him, but as anyone who has heard as a lols cow claim this knows before, this implies that he could possibly be one good push away from an explosion. Either that or he failed to grasp this lad like she came for CWC.jpg ad parody. Asperchu issue number 5. It's fucking awesome. I'd buy that. Jackie came across this ad and thinking it was one of Sonichu comics, thought it was, as advertised, fucking awesome. Chris explained to her that it was really a troll advertisement, which eventually led to him showing her Quickie and her finding out what a lazy monster he is, ending the online correspondence. So even if it failed to provoke a response from Chris, it managed to perform some small service in the larger scheme of things. Eventually the ad was taken down, although it was quickly replaced with another, smaller one featuring a callback to the scene of Evan's cold-blooded torture from Sonichu number 10. Chris has yet to respond to this, most likely because he's too busy bitching about not being unbanned from the gameplays. Yet another ad was put up a few days later, depicting Chris's final death. It was taken down relatively quickly and replaced with an Autism Awareness Month ad, featuring a mention of the hated Asperger syndrome, no less. So it isn't unreasonable to believe Chris may have missed this one entirely. Calling out. After attempting to ignore Alec for well over 1.5 years, Chris suddenly turned around and revealed a possible dox on Alec. He proclaimed that he's a fatty fat named Christopher who makes donations to the gameplays and doesn't have Asperger's, like Surfshack Tito and Frog. He demanded reparations, namely that he make a video apologizing for infringing on his Sonichu copyright and then leave the internet. What would have happened to Alex if he didn't leave the internet? What was Chris going to do? Call the police? On the 30th of August 2011, the day before Alex's deadline, Chris revealed the true identity of Alec as a 36-year-old Christopher Paul Whitney of San Antonio, Texas, better known as YouTube sensation Fat Man. Unbeknownst to Chris, the dox wasn't true. Not only does Fat Man have a completely different voice than Alec, he would have no motivation to troll Chris, let alone create a comic about him. The information on Fat Man wasn't even accurate. Fat Man is from Rutland, Vermont, which he later pointed out. And since he was born in 1980, he would have been 30 or 31 when Chris made his video. But Chris, being Chris, was naive enough to believe that they were the same person, especially since Fat Man represented what Chris thought his tormentors were really like. Fat Man later made a video response where he called Chris a dumbass for thinking he was Alec. Chris never replied to the video and presumably never saw it due to the death of his father a week after he revealed Fat Man. Legacy. One of the last surviving relics of the Asperchu saga met its demise during the fire which ravaged 14 Branch Lane Court on the 10th of January 2014. The Asperchu medallion, gifted to Chris by Alec, was destroyed in the fire, as Chris revealed in a Facebook post on the 2nd of August 2014. Notably, the somber tone Chris takes on in this post when recalling the destruction of this and other fan items seems to suggest that his feelings towards Alec and Asperchu as a whole may have softened over the years, though he could have just been feigning this for sympathy, or to e-beg. Notably, Chris states that he does not know who made the medallion or any of the other one's lost fan creations, suggesting that he might not remember Alec at all, which I highly doubt. Asperchu was mentioned in the Cat Night interview, in which Arthur Spatchcock brought up the series of a potential threat to Sonichu's distribution in Europe, likely due to Alex's claim on the copyright of the character Mitch Sonichu. Chris responded that Asperchu is definitely not a canon character in his comics, except for when he is, rendering the issue moot as far as Chris is concerned. Once again, Alex is not mentioned directly. Idea Guy influences. During the Idea Guy saga, Chris's belief in multiple dimensions was exploited and his sense of reality hijacked to make changes to many of Chris's characters, concepts, and perspectives of the real world. With him considering them to be valid, ideas involving Alec and Asperchu include: Chris wanted clarification over what really happened in Sonichu number 10, and asked Idea Guy if Alec and the other Asperchu 4 trolls were saved by becoming Amish or executed. Since Idea Guy was playing Payday 2 at the time, he used the character Bolty's bio for a revised version of Alec, telling Chris that Alec had escaped and gave Chris the picture of Bolty, saying it was Alec. Asperchu is one of the 69 destined Sonichus and Rosechus. Irony, but I think it was 100% real. And that, guys, was the wonderful, wonderful world of Asperchu. The world in which a guy actually pointed out the flaws of Chris's comic in every single aspect. And Chris responded, once again, like he always does, by threatening and distilling violence, as if that's the only way to gain any sort of attention from literally anybody who has any sort of queries about Chris. That's all Chris does. If he's not posing violence, then he is posing sexual harassment onto other people. Well, all I can say was that Sonichu Revolution looked far more interesting than I think anything that Chris has ever made. Although, again, I've never really read Sonichu, so that could all change. Depends when and where I decide to do a video on the comics themselves. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reading of the Asperchu saga, courtesy of the Quickie. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the article yourself. Please also make sure to also like and subscribe so you get daily notifications when my videos come out. And I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.